my name is Myra, this is Word Muse, and you are welcome to my channel. Hey there. So today I wanted to talk about and discuss 13 Reasons Why, predominantly the show, and I might go a little bit into the book, but not too much because it's been a while since I read it last, and I'm actually listening to it right now on audio, but I haven't gotten through it all, so I still have a lot of things that I don't remember from the original book. But anyway, point is, I'm going to be talking about the Netflix show 13 Reasons Why. Also, before I actually get started, I just really do want to put out a trigger warning for sexual assault, for bullying, for self-harm, and for the obvious ones to the side. So if you don't know what 13 Reasons Why is about, it's a Netflix show original that is based off of Jay Asher's 13 Reasons Why book. So this story revolves around Hannah Baker, who is our main character, kinda, because you have another character named Clay Jensen who is the main character. Why is this? Because Hannah Baker is dead, and you end up following the entire story through Clay's eyes. So these are, I guess, our two main characters. Now the story itself revolves around Hannah Baker and the reasons why she decided to kill herself. So anyway, Hannah Baker decides to commit suicide, and she leaves behind 13 tapes with the reasons why she did it, and they all revolved around specific people. And so she left behind like this mission that these tapes had to be passed around through the 13 people in all of these tapes. So I remember when I read the book for the first time, it left a really high impact on me. I thought about it for a while after that. I actually read it again, and it was just one of those stories and one of those books that just stayed with me for a very long time. And then when I heard that Selena Gomez picked it up and that she was actually going to produce it as a Netflix original, I was a little worried because it's such a delicate subject that it could either go really wrong or really well, and I was really concerned about that. I saw the trailer and I wasn't too happy about it. I was still kind of worried and apprehensive about the whole show. However, as we all know, Netflix released it last Friday, the 31st. And I got through it. I actually finished the last episode, and it actually took me about a week to finish watching the whole thing. It was very dark and very heavy. I just couldn't get through it any faster because it was just so much. It was just so emotionally heavy for me, and I just had to, like, take a little slowly, even though, a week is not that long of a time period. Anyway, so actually I don't even have notes for this video today. I just wanted to talk about it and just talk about the way that the show made me feel and what I thought about it. I just finished it yesterday, and oh my gosh, when I finished it, I just whoa. Also, right now I'm not going into spoilers. I'll go into that in just a little bit, and I'll let you know when I do. So anyway, my overall thoughts about the show: it was very well done. I was very surprised. It was very raw and very unsanitized and very it felt so unfiltered. I think that the message of the book definitely came through the show. The actors that played all the characters, oh my goodness, they are amazing. The girl that played Hannah Baker, I don't remember her name, but I think she's Australian, and she did such an amazing job at portraying Hannah. In the first episode, you see her like such a normal girl, and then by the end, you're like wondering, girl, what happened to you? I mean, you know what happened to her, but it's just, you can see the change, and I think the actress did such an amazing job. Also, Clay, our other main character, amazing actor. Oh my goodness, I loved him. He was so good. He made you feel what he was feeling, and I think that's important because this is the point of this show. That was the point of this book, of this story. As far as all the other actors, my goodness, so much talent. If you haven't watched it and you are able to, and if it's not too heavy for you, or if you like this kind of thing, I do recommend you watching it. However, be careful because it does get really deep into the ugly that can come out of people and the ugly that can happen to people. And it was, like I said, it was hard for me. It was hard for me to get through it. I had to take breaks. So anyway, I think that is it as far as the non-spoiler section of this Brent. And now I'm gonna start spoiling things. So if you haven't seen it, please exit right now and come back later when you have finished watching the show. Okay, so the show, as far as how it compares to the book, I am going to say that the show was better than the book. I said it. The thing about the book, 1, it is very short. 2, it's all from Hannah's point of view. And 3, it takes place within one day. I think Clay just picks up the tapes and he starts listening to them, and he just binges them, listens to them all through in one day, and you don't get to see the other characters. So everything that you know about him is either through what Hannah said and what's on the tapes and what Clay knows about him. You don't see any of their other characteristics. So they come off as very one-dimensional type of characters, like they're all just bad people, which isn't necessarily a good thing because you don't know their stories, you don't know the other parts of their lives, and that can also be harmful. So this was something that the show did. So the way that the show went by, I don't know how long it was, but it was more than a week. I would say it was like 2-3 weeks in the span that Clay took to actually listen to all the tapes, because he just couldn't stand to listen to Hannah speak and not feel terrible about it, not feel sad about it, not feel emotionally stable and mentally stable about it. You see him like he is on the verge of all these breakdowns. And in a minute I thought Clay's gonna just flip out. And so I think that was important. Also the fact that because the show took place throughout my cat. So just the fact that the show took place within a certain amount of weeks and not just one day allowed us to see more into the other characters' lives. So you see all the characters that Hannah mentions and that you think are just terrible people, and you see the other sides of their life. You see their pain and you see their guilt, and some of them you just want to punch in the face because they're just terrible people, Bryce. But I honestly ended up feeling so much for so many of the other characters. We take, for example, the character of Jessica. In the book and the movie, she was raped by Bryce, and she doesn't know this because she was just passed out drunk, but Hannah knows this, and so she talks about it in one of the tapes. Well, once the tapes are passed around, Jessica finds out that this is happening, and the show, everybody is trying to convince her that Hannah was not telling the truth. And if Hannah was not telling the truth about one thing, then her whole narrative was very unreliable. And so Jessica is banking on the fact that she thinks or wants to believe that Hannah's lying and that she never was raped. But still, you know that Jessica, in the bottom of her heart, she knows what Bryce did, and she knows what happened to her. And just to see her spiral down so hard and hit rock bottom, it was just so painful to see. And just to see the damage that sexual assault can do, it was just so wow. Like I just you know. And then also you see Alex and the fact that he regrets so much, that the fact that he wrote that stupid list, and how he really is a good person, he just did something stupid. And I think that was done on purpose, because oftentimes we do so many insignificant things that are just plain out stupid, but we don't realize how they might affect other people. And so his character I really enjoyed, and I was just so sad about the ending, because I knew that he, like, it was foreshadowed throughout the show that he was just mentally, like, something was going on with him. I felt like it was foreshadowed several times throughout the show, like when he jumped in the pool. And I also saw when his dad told him he didn't have to actually go to talk about what happened with Hannah, and Alex was like, alright, when you know that he wanted to tell the truth about the tapes and about Hannah, and just the fact that he was okay with that just dinged up a red flag. When the principal came in and told Mr. Porter that Alex had shot himself in the head, I was like, oh my god. That was painful. So those are characters that I really felt for. Also, I think his name was Mike, the photography kid. I was like, y'all are not learning. Why are you guys mistreating this guy so bad? Like, look what happened. And I was just waiting for him to flip out, and this is the last episode. Anyway, before I get to the final episode, I know I've talked about it a little bit, but let me just talk about the parents and how I love the fact that in the show they were so present. In the book, you did see them. Like Hannah would like mention the parent, you know, but they seemed so absent, and you don't knew about anybody else's parents. And Clay's mom was so clueless, and I think she just wanted to give him the freedom that he wanted as a teen. But he was just like, I'm doing homework, mom, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the city. Yeah, I'll come back in the morning. It's like, really, lady, you do that. You know there's something going on with the kid. And in the show, like, the parents are so involved in all of these kids' life, for the good or the bad, except for actually Bryce's. We never see Bryce's because he is a rich kid and his parents are never home. But we see Jessica's dad. We see Clay's parents, whose mom is highly involved in his life. We see Hannah's parents, and oh my gosh, I just felt so much for them. Like the mother, she broke my heart over and over again. Sherry mentions her dad, and we also see Courtney's dads. And of course, the other one that really broke my heart was Justin's parents. Well, his mom and his mom's boyfriend, who, oh my gosh, I couldn't stand that man. And you like for a second like understand Justin. I had a lot of sympathy for him. This is something that I cannot say about Bryce. I had no sympathy for him at all, and I don't know if I should or not, but I just didn't. However, Justin, I did. Zach, you see his mom. His mom was all over it. And just so many characters, his parents were involved in this, which was great to see. I loved seeing that. Let's just talk about that last episode. It was very different in the book. We don't see Porter actually having the tapes, and Clay definitely does not go and like confess there are these tapes, and the parents never get these tapes. So I appreciated the changes that were made in that last episode. Also, another major thing that was added to the plotline of the story was the whole lawsuit. So that was really interesting. At first I didn't get it. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Actually, one more thing that they changed, major change, the way that Hannah actually killed herself. In the book, she took pills. In the show, she totally slit her wrists, and that was just, I didn't see that part. I couldn't see it. It was just too much for me, and I had to like look away. I couldn't. So I don't know if I like that or not. It added for more like, you know, dramatization. It was more dramatized. It feels a lot more violent than the pills that Hannah took in the book. Also, let me talk about Tony, because he was just another one of my favorite characters. I love Tony. He was just such a good friend, and I loved him. Let me see, are there any other characters that I really loved? I really like Jessica. Justin, I felt for him. I really like Zach. Mike was weird, but you know, the guy had it rough as well. I loved Clay. I loved Hannah. Love the parents. I love her parents especially. I love them. Her mom. And as also we have Sky that we see in the end. In the book, she took more of a back burner. Like Clay bumps into her a couple of times, like twice I think. And at the end, he does catch up to her and he's like, hey, let's hang out. And in the show, you see Sky like ever so present. She works at the coffee shop and she goes to school with them. And so she's almost like a constant presence in Clay's life, which was interesting. And I love that at the end she was like, hey, are you okay? And he was all like, no, not really. And I love that raw honesty. Also, I know I keep saying this is it, but no, I have to talk about Jeff, because that was also really sad. Because in the book, he's just like a face in the crowd almost. Hannah mentions the student that died, but you don't know who he is. And in the show, Clay has an actual personal relationship with Jeff. And throughout the show, you see Jeff and you realize he is a really, really good guy. Like, I would like to be friends with him. He was such a cool dude. And just the fact that he died in that accident, furthermore, the fact that everybody thought that he was driving drunk, and which is why he had the accident. And I love the fact that, again, Clay goes to the parents and tells them the truth. Okay, now moving on. Last episode, whoa, left you in a cliffhanger. In the book, it's like everything just comes in circle, and you are not left wondering about the other people on the tapes, because it's just you're in Clay's head, and as soon as he passes them on, you don't think about it anymore. And in the show, they ended up leaving so many loose ends that you don't know which one's gonna lead, because you have half of the kids saying they're gonna tell the truth in this trial, and half of them saying that they want to cover it up. And then you become just so much angrier at Bryce. I was just so angry. I mean, just the rape. Oh my goodness. I felt, no. You want him to pay for what he did, because he's just, No, he needs to pay for what he did. And you see Porter listening to the tapes and you're wondering what he's gonna do because, you know, he's involved in this whole school lawsuit. And then you see Mike, who has all these guns and this chest looking thing in his room, and you're wondering what is this guy doing, especially because he's been saying nobody's gonna laugh at me later. And then you have Alex in the ICU. And then you have Jessica, who is about to tell her dad, who you think is about to tell her that she was raped, but you really don't know because you don't hear her say it. And then you see also Justin just leaving and having nothing. He had to leave home. He had nowhere to be. And I really felt for the guy because he had a rough life. So anyway, there's speculation over season 2. I don't know. I think that the show itself has had enough popularity for Netflix to be able to say, yeah, let's do a season 2. Now, would I want a season 2? I don't know. I don't know if I want these questions answered. If they actually release it, I think I would watch it. Am I like wanting them to? I don't know yet. I don't know. So we'll see, I guess, what comes later and what Netflix says after this, and if they're willing to do a part 2 to this. So anyway, that is it, I think, for all my thoughts. For now, I am going to go and watch something a little more lighthearted because like when I finished watching that last episode, I was in tears and I just sat there and stared into nothing for the rest of the night. It was just so much, and I felt so much. It's very well done. It's very, very impactful, very raw and unfiltered. I think it depicted teenagers today very well. I'm not in high school. I haven't been in high school for a long time, but with the rise of technology and just everything that has changed in just a couple of years, it's interesting to see it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on 13 Reasons Why. Probably not gonna rewatch it in a hot minute. It's gonna take a while. But was this an eye-opening narrative? Yes. Was this a thought-provoking narrative? Yes. And was this a reflective narrative? Definitely. It reminded me of the first time I read the book. I just connected so much with it, and I just connected so much with the story that they made out of the book, and I just connected so much with Hannah and a lot of the characters, especially in the show. It was an experience. Anyway, that is it for today. This is not a very happy-go-lucky kind of video because it's such a dense topic, suicide and depression and sexual assault and all this stuff. It sucks that this is so prevalent in our society, but it is, and we should talk about it. Anyway, you guys, that is it for today. Please make sure to leave me a comment down below if you watched it and what you thought about the show or what you thought about the book, and we can have a conversation about it. Also, if you liked this video, please just give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching. This is Word Muse, and I will see you next time. Bye.